Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome to today's webinar, The Power of Setting Goals. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Jillian Bateman, ESA's Vice President of Marketing and Communications, and I will be facilitating today's webinar. I am joined today by Ben Brookhart and by ESA's Rising Leaders and Mentorship Program Chairman, Robert Few. I have just a few housekeeping notes for us before we get started. First, all callers will be muted for the duration of the session. At any time, feel free to ask a question by clicking into that question section of your control panel. We will be fielding these questions to Ben at the end of our session and will ensure we save some time to address them. The webinar is being recorded and will be available at esaweb.org at the end of the day. You should receive an email tomorrow morning with a link to access it. Thank you for joining us today. Robert, I will now turn it over to you.
Thanks, Jillian, and good morning, everyone. First, thank you all for joining today's webinar. We are very excited to have our ESA Rising Leaders with us today. I also want to welcome the 2018 ESA Mentorship Class, as I know there are a few of you on this call as well. If you are not active in ESA's Rising Leaders group or in the mentorship program, you are thinking about it, I encourage you to give me a call, send me an email, but become more involved. It's free to all ESA members. We have a great group of people who can meet up with you at events and network with and get you introduced to great people. It's a great opportunity to gain guidance from some industry veterans that are like-minded and driven professionals. We also have strong content, great speakers who engage with our groups like Ben today in this webinar that you're about to hear about the power of goal setting. So with that, I'd just like to plug our next event, which is ESX, coming up in June the 19th through 22nd in Nashville. The Rising Leaders are putting together some great content there. We'll have interactive sessions on the expo floor on Thursday from 2 to 4. And we have a free classroom-style presentation by Terry Peters, who's a former Special Forces officer and great leader at 4:15 that day. For those of you who have attended the Rising Leaders Forum, you're familiar with Terry and his team. You can expect the same great content as you've seen in the past, but continually getting better. All-inclusive registrations are just $2.99 right now, so I encourage you all to get to esxweb.com to check it out. So let's jump in. Ben Brookhart has 2 decades of professional experience working within business and sales environments. Over the last 21 years, Ben has successfully started 4 home security companies, made them profitable, and then executed a profitable exit sale. He has been responsible for over $225 million in gross sales from companies that he started. He is now the CEO of his most successful startup, Power Home Technologies. This is a smart home security company that is gaining some national traction with over 100,000 customers. Ben is also the author of the book Success Hurricane, How to Achieve Success at a Category 5 Level. It's a great read. I encourage you all to go online and find it. Ben, thank you for being with us today, and I'll pass the mic over to you.
All right, Robert, Jillian, thank you very much. Certainly looking forward to giving this presentation to all of you. So I am going to bring a little bit of energy this morning. I know East Coast time, it's 11 o'clock. Maybe some of y'all are on the West Coast, so if you don't have your coffee, you won't need it. I'm going to give you the energy that you need today. But as Robert mentioned, I am the CEO of Power Home Technologies. We are a regional company here in the southeastern United States. I'm headquartered in Raleigh, North Carolina. If I can help any of you do anything with your businesses, I'm in the residential space. We do about 600 new installs per month throughout the Southeast. Certainly would be more than happy to help you in any way that I can. My email address is ben, B-E-N, @pht.com. You can follow me at Success Hurricane on Facebook and Instagram. I do daily videos. I call them my morning motivational videos. It's a great place to get a little energy every morning and have a message that hopefully will make your day better. And as Robert mentioned, if you haven't bought my book, certainly would love for you to do that. It's a great read. It's called Success Hurricane, How to Achieve Success at a Category 5 Level. I talk about successful speed. I talk about successful growth. I talk about successful change, successful disruption, and successful destruction, because that's what you're going to do to your competition once you read it. So enough about me. I'm ready to get started, so I hope all of you are as well. If you don't have a pen and paper, I would ask that you get one right now. get up, get your pen and paper, because I'm going to give you some information today that I am guaranteeing you is going to help you set better goals and, most importantly, become more successful. So all of you rising leaders, I love talking to leaders. I love being around leaders because everybody's trying to do more in their lives, and that's what leadership is all about. So let's go ahead and get started here. And oh, technical difficulties already. How about that? There we go. So we talked about success hurricane. All right. The word success and the word hurricane never go together. And when you guys look at this picture, I want to ask you, what do you see? You see destruction. Things have been destroyed in this picture. A hurricane has come through and wiped everything out. Some of you may feel that's what your daily lives look like. Some of you go through situations and that's what it looks like. But I want you to look off into the distance, and you see that there's some houses that are still standing. And the reason those houses are still standing is because the foundation was built correctly. And that's what the power of goal setting will do in your lives every single day, is provide you that foundation that will allow you to survive any storm that you may go through. So I want this webinar to give you information that's going to help you do that. So let's talk about the power of setting goals. Look, goals are the foundation of success. Most people, they see success in others and they're like, oh my gosh, that just looks like that person's living the dream and it's so easy to get to the top. People talk about getting to the top of the mountain. They think it's a straight line. It's a starting point and then it's a destination. And I'm here to tell you that it is not a straight line in any way, shape, or form. Success takes you to the top. It takes you up, down, around the mountain. The key is that every misstep, you shake it off and you step it up. You no longer stand under your mistakes. You stand on top of your mistakes. And so I want to share a quick little story. Some of you may have heard this, but some of you may not. And it's about a donkey and his farmer. And the farmer and the donkey, they work together every day. And this donkey is the farmer's most prized possession. And one day the farmer goes to the well that he dug, which was very big and very deep. And he hears the donkey who had fallen down into the well, his prized donkey that made him the most amount of money by bringing in the crops. And he goes to all of his farmer friends and he tells them the story of what happened, and they all give him the same answer. He doesn't want to live with that answer, so he keeps thinking about how he can get this donkey out of the well. And he finally comes to the realization that he's got to do what everybody told him to do, and that's just bury the donkey and close the well. So I'm here to tell you that sometimes we fall into the well and we think there's no way to get out. But what this farmer did is he dropped some dirt and he got a shovel, and he would take that shovel and he would pour it in the well with that dirt. He'd take another shovel of dirt and he'd pour it into the well. And each time the dirt hit the donkey's back, he would shake it off and he would step on top of it. The next dirt would come and he'd shake it off and he'd step on top of it. And the farmer thought he was burying the donkey, but what he was doing is giving him a chance to get out. And that donkey would take a step and another step, and eventually that donkey stepped out of that well. So let me ask all of you a question to get this webinar started is, where are you at right now in your life? What is your level of satisfaction in your career? How about your marriage? How about your parenting? No matter where you are right now, you have the ability to change that by setting goals and taking actions. I want you guys to stop thinking about just making a living, which is just going through the motions. It's being just average. It's allowing life to just happen. What I want you to start doing is, with proper goal setting, I want you to start designing a life the way that you want it to happen. There's no more settling for easy. There's no more being average. It's a trap. So I want to ask you guys a question. Are you ready? Are you ready to dream? Are you ready to put goals into place? Because that's what we're going to do here is we're going to talk about those things. So what kind of person do you want to become? What do you want to achieve? Write that down. If you got your notes out there, I want you to write down 1 or 2 sentences right now. Who do you want to become that you're not today? What do you want to achieve that you do not have? And there's 2 things that are working with that question. Okay? This is a good one right here. Number 1 is what you become helps you achieve. And number 2 is what you achieve helps you become. So the more you become, the more you can achieve, and the more you achieve, the more you can become. Now, I don't know which affects the others the most, but I know you need both of them. Dreams and goals are something that everybody has to have. It's not about the past. I met with one of my friends the other day, and he was telling me, Ben, I feel like I've missed out on all of these things. I've watched people around me achieve success that I haven't been able to achieve. And I sit back and I talk about shoulda, woulda, coulda. I'm telling you to stop thinking about the past and start focusing on right now, today. It's not about what you think you can get. It's about what you believe that you can do. It's not something else that someone says you should have. That's not what your dreams and your goals are about. Dreams need to be born out of your own heart and your own mind. They need to be unique to you. Now, we're going to talk about how to set goals, and I'm going to walk you through some of the successes that I've used in my life and I've learned from other people. But before we talk about how to set goals, the most important thing you have to understand, and this is chapter 1 in my book, is what is your why? And you got that picture of that slingshot up there. And I would tell you that a lot of people, they say, oh, I want to be wealthy. I just want to be rich. And they think money is the answer to their why. And I do a demonstration in some of my presentations where I'll put a $100 bill in that slingshot and I'll pull it back as far as I can and I'll let it go. And you know how far that $100 bill goes? Not very far. Money is not your why. Your driving force is your why, not someone else's. It's not a possession. It's not, I want a big house, that's why I'm going to bust my butt, or I want a fancy car. It's not a possession. It's a thought. It's not what you want. It's why you are going to bust your butt to get it. It's what pushes you when you are ready to give up or quit. Now, I know this is the rising leaders call, and there's a lot of leaders. And if you're a leader, you've been to that point where you've been burned out before and you were ready to quit. You were ready to give up, and you were saying, I don't know how much more I can deal with these people. I don't know how much more I can deal with this industry. And then you sit back and you reflect and you think, you know what, this has been a great business for me and I'm going to keep pushing forward. But that burnout phase is going to come again, and you have to have a defined why to get you through that stage. It's got to burn so deep that nothing can stop you from achieving success, not at a category 1, 2, 3, or 4, but at the highest level possible. There's a lot of people that want, but there are few people that do. When we're done with this webinar, I want you to stop being someone that wants, and I want you to start taking action of somebody that is a doer. And setting proper goals is going to allow you to get to that level. The next step is you've got your why. You've defined that. Now you have to understand what your why nots are, which also equals your X's. Now, I'm not talking about your ex-wife. I'm not talking about your ex-boyfriend, although it could be the things that those people said you couldn't do, or they were a roadblock in your way. There's 5 things that I don't want anybody to be defined or labeled with these 5 X's, these 5 why nots. You know what your why is. Now you need to know the things that are going to prevent you from achieving the success and accomplishing the goals that you set forth every day. Number 1 is procrastination. It's the number 1 success killer out there. So many people, they get in this yellow zone. You know, it's like pulling up to the light. It's yellow. Do I go? Do I stop? Do I stay? And they don't want to get outside of their comfort zone. The yellow zone's comfortable. You know what the answers are going to be. There's no risk taking. You need 2 speeds. You need to know stop and go. Procrastination is the yellow zone that you don't need. Laziness is the next one. This is one of my best slides right here, because laziness is also known as gluteal amnesia. You know what that is? That's when your ass keeps forgetting to tell you to get up and go. Some of us have that challenge. We talk about, I'm going to get to it tomorrow. I'm going to get to it the next day. Stop being lazy. Get up early. This morning, I didn't want to get up and hit the gym at 5:30. The alarm went off. I thought about hitting snooze, but then I thought, man, I am not going to let my ass just lay here in bed and be lazy. That 10 minutes of snooze is not going to get me anything, and it won't get you anything except further behind. The next one is a lot of people are afraid to take risk. Look, risk taking is about you choosing the risk that you're going to take and being in control of those risks. Because when you're in control of the risk, you can determine what that outcome is going to be. And my suggestion is, as you grow your business, you're going to need to take risks. And that's going to involve some other people around you, because you will not be able to get to a category 5 level and achieve your dreams and your goals unless you include other people, because one person alone cannot multiply. Okay, you've got to be able to have multiplication. Failure is another step. You don't want to be labeled as someone that is afraid to fail. I want you guys right now on a piece of paper, I want you to write down, what is a success that you had just recently? What's something that you achieved that you were proud of and it was a success? Maybe you hit a quota, maybe you exceeded a goal, maybe you earned something that you hadn't had. Think about what that success moment was. And then I want you to think about the failures that you had to go through to get there. Because you can't have success without failures. It's just not possible. Failure, when you think of it as I'm going to get failure, I'm going to get no's. Look, I teach door-to-door sales. That's how we generate all of our business, is through door knocking. There's failure every day with my sales reps, but I let them know it's kind of like Sleep Number, the bed. You guys know Sleep Number? You go in there, you get on that bed, you find your number, your spouse has their number, everybody sleeps good, but you know what your number is. You take the remote and you hit the button that goes right to your number. Door knocking or selling, cold calling, is the same thing. Everybody has their number. So if I know my number is 17 cold calls, I've got to talk to 17 people, I know I'm getting paid on all of them. When the first person tells me no, I got paid, because it's one step closer to the yes. And it's all a mentality thing. It's a mindset thing. So failure, think about it. No is much easier to hear when it's one step closer to a yes. And then quitting. Look, there are no shortcuts. I talked about getting to the top of the mountain. You're going to go up, you're going to go down, you're going to go around. There's going to be all kinds of obstacles in your way. You cannot quit. You've got to be able to recharge, refocus, and reset. This is where it comes into play as far as not giving up. It's easy to quit. Tell you a quick story. I got in this business when I was 20 years old. I'm from Indiana. I'm a Hoosier. That's right, a Hoosier. My wife says I got to convert to North Carolina, but I'm not planning on doing that anytime soon. But I started in the home security business at 20 years old. I went through training class, and I went out, and I didn't know anybody in Charlotte, and I knocked on these doors, and I sold 3 systems. And I was so excited. I was so pumped up. I go to the sales meeting, and my manager comes up, and he's like, Ben, you did great. They had me come talk in the front of the room. After the meeting, my manager comes up to me and says, hey, Ben, I got some bad news. Unfortunately, 2 of your customers didn't pass credit, and the 3rd one called in to cancel. I went from hero to zero. That whole week, I was driving around telling myself, I'll get to that door tomorrow. I don't want to get out because I might not get that sale. I don't think I can do this anymore. I don't think this is for me. And I was ready to quit. At 20 years old, after a week, I walked into that office and I said, Greg Stokes, thank you for the opportunity, but I don't think this is for me. And he looked at me and he said, Ben, I'm going to tell you how your life is going to go. You're going to be a quitter. You're going to quit here today, and you're not going to have a career. You're going to have a job, and it's job after job after job, and you're going to have relationship after relationship after relationship, because anything you do in life, it's going to have some things that have obstacles. And if you quit every time it gets hard, you're just going to become a quitter. And Ben, I know you're a champion. I know you can have success. You played college baseball. I know you struck out before. What'd you do when you struck out? I said, Greg, I went back to the dugout and thought about the pitch I missed. He said, and then what'd you do? I came up to bat again. And he said, well, then pick your stuff up off my desk and get your butt out there and go take another at bat. And I did just that. And I sold 48 systems my first month. I made $98,000 selling security systems door to door from June 7th, 1997 until the end of that year. It changed my life because I didn't quit, and I almost did. So I encourage all of you, you don't quit. You guys are all winners. You got to have goals and you got to have a plan, and that's what the buoy system is all about. Look, hurricanes, the National Weather Service, they put these buoys throughout all these oceans and they communicate together. They measure the temperature in the water. They measure the wind speed, and there's a communication and there's a plan. And I say buoy because a buoy has a plan and a system that goes around with it. But a lot of us confuse a buoy with a bobber. And a bobber just bobs. It bobs to the right. It bobs to the left. It's just bobbing up and down as the wind blows. It moves a little bit. I don't want you to be a bobber. I want you to have a plan and a purpose. One of my favorite quotes about having a plan is from Abraham Lincoln. And he says, give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I'll spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. That's what planning is all about. You're going to have some really, really big goals. There's going to be a huge, like, redwood tree as a goal, and you're going to look at it and you're going to think, how am I going to knock down that tree? Is it impossible? No. If you have a sharp axe and you sharpen that thing and you chop it bit by bit, it will fall. And so that's what I want you guys to do. So it's time to start thinking. It's goal time, baby. Here we go. Thinking. That's what we have to do when we write down our goals. It's amazing what happens that when I sit down and I start writing my goals, I actually have to think about what I want to accomplish that day. I'm not just getting up, getting my shower, taking the kids to school, walking in the office and just see what happens. No, that's not how you lead. That's not how you grow. That's not what's going to take you to the next level. You've got to start thinking. And thinking is about writing down your goals. Look, this is what we've been all told since we were kids. I grew up on 5431 Scepter Court, Fort Wayne, Indiana. And I guarantee you no one grew up on my street. I guarantee you no one grew up in my town. I probably will bet there's no Hoosiers on this call. If there is, go Hoosiers. But I think all of you could finish these sentences for me. Money doesn't grow on trees. Who do you think you are? Turn the lights off. How are you going to afford that? Shut the door. Now, as parents, we're saying those things, but look, we've heard all those things. We didn't grow up in the same neighborhood, but you heard the same things. We've been told what to do and how to think. We've been trained in a way that's based off all the experiences that we've already had. We need to get back to imagination. We need to get back to creative thoughts. I have 5 kids, category 5, 15, 12, 10, 5, and 4. I had my 12-year-old little girl, Morgan, and my little baby girl, Charlotte, 4. I gave them a picture of a tree. And I said, girls, I want you to color in this tree. You can do it. You can make it whatever color you want. You know what my 12-year-old did? She colored this beautiful picture of a tree that had green leaves, a brown trunk, and there was a little bird nest. She colored the bird nest brown and the eggs a little blue like robin eggs. And then my 4-year-old little girl, she turns it in and she was all proud. Of course, she tried to spell her name in the upper left-hand corner. You couldn't read it, but she tried. And that tree was pink and blue and yellow and orange and all these colors, because she used her imagination. My 12-year-old, she knows what a tree looks like, so she just thought that's what it was. Let me ask you, what do you want out of your life? Do you want green and brown because that's what it's supposed to be? Or do you want disruption? Like, how about Uber disruption? No one ever thought that was green and brown when they developed Uber. Could you imagine what life was like before Uber? No. How about Amazon? Is that a little disruption? That's what you can do when you start thinking. Look, without goals, you are just a hamster running in this wheel. You're running, you got activity, but you got no production. I want you to write down Prince E.A. video. Everybody dies, but nobody lives. There was a study of 100 elderly people that Prince E.A. did that were close to their last breath. These elderly people were getting ready to pass away. And he asked the question, what was your biggest regret? Instead of talking about all the things that they shouldn't have done, mistakes that they made, they only talked about what they didn't do. The job they never went for. The trip they never took. You see, that's what goals will get you. You need to stop focusing on the mistakes that you've made in life, the things you didn't get, and you need to start focusing on today. What path is for me? Where do I want to go in my life? And it starts with daily goals. We're going to talk about SMART goals. I'm sure most of you have heard SMART goals. I didn't come up with it, but I'm smart enough to use it. So goal setting is one of the most important things that we can do to self-manage ourselves and improve our performance going forward. So a general term, because there's 2 types of goals. There's a general term, and then there's the SMART goal system. But let's just say general. I want to get better. That's my goal. I want to get better. That's a general goal that's going to get you nowhere. You want to get better at what? How can you measure something like that? So we're going to talk about specific goals, which is the S. Don't be vague. Exactly what do you want to do? Goals are no place to, tiptoe in and out. They're not a place to be vague. Unclear goals produce unclear results. Incomplete goals produce incomplete futures. Let me say that again, because that's one to write down. Incomplete goals produce incomplete futures. Never underestimate just how important it is to have a specific and concrete goal. A SMART goal is specific, measurable. Quantify your goal. How will you know if you can achieve it if it's not something that is measurable? Always set goals that are measurable. I would say specifically measurable, to take into account the principle of being specific as well. Our goals should be such that we know when we are advancing and by how much, whether it's by hours that you achieve, whether it's by pounds, that weight loss, dollars, how much money you earn, or some other type of scale. We should be able to see exactly how we are measuring up as we journey through life using our goals. Imagine if you never measured your goals. You would never know which way you were going, or even if you were going anywhere whatsoever. A SMART goal is measurable, attainable. It's one of the most important things. People, they set goals with good intentions, but then their goals, they're unattainable. It's very important to set big goals because you want your heart to soar with excitement. When you write down that goal, you want it to be like, man, I can't wait to get this. This is going to be awesome, and I'm going for it. But it's important that it's attainable. An attainable goal is one that is both realistic and doable. And by attainable, I don't mean easy. Our goals should be set so they're just out of reach, so they challenge us to grow and reach forward to achieve them. Realistic. Look, it's got to be doable. It's got to be real. It's got to be practical. The root word of realistic is real. I tell people sometimes, let's get real with your goals. It's got to be something that can be a reality. There's some goals that simply are not realistic. You have to be able to say, even if it's a stretch goal, that it's entirely realistic and that you could make it. You have to say, look, it may take X, Y, and Z to do it, but it's realistic. For one person, a goal may be realistic, but for another, it could be unrealistic. I would encourage all of you to be honest with yourself as you do your planning and evaluation on your goals being realistic. Now, some people get confused with attainable and realistic. Like, let's just say you're overweight and you need to lose 150 pounds to get to the ideal weight you want to be. Is that goal attainable? Yes, considering that it's also realistic. For example, it isn't realistic to think that you could lose 150 pounds in 5 months. 18 to 24 months would be realistic with some super hard work. So losing 150 pounds in 2 years is both attainable and realistic, while losing 150 pounds is neither attainable or realistic. Time. When should I achieve it? Every goal has to have a time frame attached to it. Life is much more productive for us when there's a time frame connected. Could you imagine how much more procrastination would go on in our lives if we never died? We just get around to it every day and never get anything done. A SMART goal has to have a timeline. So I want to make sure that every goal you set has a timeline, including like this webinar. Look, SMART goals can be used daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly. Every activity that you do should have a goal behind it. My goal today was to deliver a webinar that's 45 minutes long, where each of you can learn something new about your goal setting that will help you achieve more success in your life starting today. It was specific. I told you exactly what I want to accomplish. It was measurable. All are you going to tell me how this webinar helped you achieve more success? It's attainable. I'm confident in all the things I'm sharing with you will help you be more successful because they have helped me. It's realistic because I'm talking to a group of rising leaders. I know all of you want to be more successful and you're looking for anything that will help you get to the next level. I have a realistic goal because I know you are the right audience for my message. And my goal has a timeline. I set a timeline of how long this webinar will be and how long it will take you to start having success with the things you learn today. Look, let's use an example that almost everybody can relate to. Most people say they want to get in shape. Most of the time, they get in shape for someone else, wife, husband, boyfriend, or girlfriend. Remember, it's got to be your goal. It's a general thought or idea. It doesn't have anything behind it to be sustainable if it's not yours. Sure, you may want to join the gym with that thought, and you may even go to work out for a couple weeks. But if you don't have anything specific, measurable, and attainable, realistic, or have a timeline, you will not stay with it. When it's 6 a.m. and your alarm clock is going off and you are still sore from the previous day's workout, what is going to get you out of bed that morning to hit your goal? A SMART goal will. So here's another SMART goal example. I currently weigh 200 pounds. I want to be 185 with a 4-pack, because that's about all I can get at 42 years old. I don't know about a 6-pack. Maybe Robert's got one of those 6-packs. He looked good on the cover of that magazine. But I want to bench press 225 pounds by August 1st when my wife and I are going to St. Lucia on our wedding anniversary. I want to get back into shape so I can feel great about myself. Now, do I have a better chance of accomplishing my goals by saying I want to get into shape, or by setting a SMART goal? It's a SMART goal. Set SMART goals daily so you can keep focused. Two types of goals. You got a short range goal and you've got a long range goal. The short range goals are about today, tomorrow, next week, next month, the immediate future. These goals are confidence builders that remind ourselves of both the long-term direction that we are going and the progress that we are making. Every short-range goal gets you closer to your long-term plan and dreams. Long-range goals, these are your dreams while planning, and they can turn into tangible realities. It's years, not months. If I ask each of you right now, where do you want to be in 5 years? You may have a general thought, but you don't have a goal. You don't have a plan of what it's going to take. How about 10 years? How much money do you want to have in the bank in 20 years? Like, when do you want to retire? What's that look like? Where are you going to be? Where are you going to live? Where are your kids going to be? All of those things take goals. It takes a plan. And when you do that, you can amass huge success. The last thing I want to talk about is targets, because setting your goal is one of the most important things that you can ever do. But once the goal is set, you have to have targets. Targets are the in-between of where you start when you set your goal and where you finish. What people don't realize is you can have targets without goals, but you can't have goals without targets. Somebody said, Ben, what do you mean? That's crazy. What people don't realize is you can have targets without goals, but you can't have goals without targets. Let me give you an example so you can relate. I like to golf. I'm not a good golfer, but I have a goal that I want to win my club championship. That's a goal. I want to win my club championship this year. A target is I need to practice 3 times a week, hitting 100 balls minimum, to be able to put myself in a position to hit that goal. Now, if I say, I'm just going to the practice range today. All right, that's a target. My target's I'm going to the practice range. But there's no goal associated with that. So I can't win the club championship unless I have targets along the way. That's an example that everybody can understand. Look, go after your targets, okay? So there's a quote on here that from Michelangelo: the greater danger for most of us lies in not setting our aim too high and falling short, but in setting our aim too low and achieving our mark. Powerful. Now, let's talk about going after your targets, okay? And your goals. Goal, you want to buy a pair of jeans for under $100 at the mall. Target is I'm going to Gap. Now, there's 2 ways. Now, we got males and females represented because we kind of think of our goals and targets a little bit different. So, great illustration. But for the males, here we go. We're going to the Gap. Bam. bought our jeans for 33 bucks. Now, females, they do a little bit different targets. A lot of them, they're going to achieve their goal in 3 hours and 26 minutes, but they also got a handbag, perfume, and makeup along the way, all right? Here's the secret to your success. This is the most important part of this presentation and this webinar. Accountability, team. You can have all the goals you want, but unless you're going to have accountability to go for it, it's not going to happen. You want to make more money? I have the answer. You want to get a promotion? I have the answer. You want to start a business? I have the answer. You want to have a successful marriage? I have the answer. I've been with my wife for 20 years. We met at 21. We met on a blind date when I first moved to Charlotte. We've been married for 16. Look, accountability is the key. The word accountable, it means give an account. When someone knows what your goals are, they help hold you accountable. Whether it's someone else going through this program with you, ESA leadership, or someone that can just give you the basic idea, having a person who can hold you accountable will give another added boost to accomplishing your goal. There's internal accountability, which basically says that it's the level of integrity that you maintain not only throughout the evaluation process of your goals, but in life. It means that when you look at yourself, you judge yourself honestly. You hold yourself accountable to doing what you said you would do. If you've messed up, you say, I messed up. If you've done well, then you celebrate your progress. External accountability is the second aspect. And, you know, it's important to know that you can't have external accountability until you hold yourself accountable for what you do. Having an accountability partner and an outside source of accountability is the most powerful force if done right. I'm going to give you some examples. I have 2 sales reps. One's a manager and one's a top rep. These guys have been superstars for me. And my manager, he was going through some hard times, and I called him up and I said, what's going on, man? And he just went through a divorce, and he had told me, Ben, once I get through this divorce, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to go after everything. I'm going to have my slate clean, and I'm going to go hit my targets and my goals. Well, he got divorced, and those things didn't happen. And I called him, and he said, man, I'm just struggling with some depression. I'm lonely. I'm overweight. And I knew that if I could get him back into the gym and working out again, he would regain his confidence back in himself, and he would probably work the other 2 problems out along the way. Here's the accountability. Listen up. This is it. This is the key. This is the success. I asked him if he would commit going to the gym every morning at 6 a.m. if I did the same. I told him that I was wanting to get back into shape, and I wanted an accountability partner. I told him that he could talk trash to me every morning if I didn't get up, but I could also do the same to him. The goal was we had to get up every morning and show each other a video of us working out at the gym. We're a month into this goal. He just had the best month of the year. He's lost 10 pounds, and he has regained his confidence. Guess what? I'm in much better shape too. There were several mornings when my alarm went off and I'm like, man, I don't want to get up. And then I thought about this manager, and guess what? Bam, he hit me with a text message. You better get up. It's past 6 a.m. I'm going to keep calling you. I'm coming for you. And it made me get up. And then once I got up, I was a little mad. I would say I was pissed off. You know, he talked trash to me. What did I do? I went and had the best workout that I had had that whole week. Because if I'd have laid in bed, I wouldn't have got any of those things accomplished. Same story with my rep, same situation. He had went through a divorce. You guys are probably thinking, dang, man, a lot of divorced people power home. No, but life happens. Same situation, divorce, feeling depressed. I said, look, if you will set your goals with me every day and you will text me your goals by 8 a.m. every morning, I will text you my goals. I need 1 personal goal from you and 2 professional goals. I told him I would do the same, but he would have to commit 10 minutes of reflection every night before he went to bed about what he accomplished that day and what his goals would be for the next. He agreed to do it with excitement. We're 45 days into this. His production is back to where it used to be. He's sending me 5 goals every day, and he's even doing it with some emojis. So, team, you need to get an accountability partner. You need to write down your goals every single day, and you need to send those goals to an accountability partner, and you need that partner to send those goals back to you so you can hold each other accountable. That is the way that you are going to achieve success. And you may be saying, man, I can't do that. Well, you can keep telling yourself what you can't do, and you're going to find yourself not getting to where you want to be. I am telling you 100%, I will guarantee you that if you make a commitment over the next 60 days, that's it, 60 days. You don't have to do this for a year, although you will after 60 days. Commit to somebody for the next 60 days. If you want to take Saturday and Sunday off on your goals and make that about your family time, that's fine. Monday through Friday, you write down at least 3 goals, 1 personal, 2 professional, about what you want to accomplish that day. You hold yourself accountable. You have somebody else hold you accountable. And this is what's going to be happening. You're going to start to have success when you're deliberate and you're hardworking about the goals for the day, the week, the month, the year, setting your goals for your family, yourself, your business, your colleagues, and you start thinking forward. This is what you will become: a major contributor to yourself, but most importantly to others. You guys are leaders. That's what you want. You want to become a person of influence. John Maxwell, who is the mentor I follow on leadership, he said in his book, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, that leadership is about influencing others. It's not about titles, nothing more than influence. What kind of person must you be to attract all you want in your life, the people that you want, and the opportunities that you want? So what I want to tell you is I want all of you to go for your goals and your dreams today. I want you to hold yourself accountable, get an accountability partner, define your why, write down your X's, put a plan together, and have success. And if I can help you with any of those things, you guys reach out to me. So Robert, Jillian, I will turn it back over to you.
Thanks, Ben. I really appreciate it. Jillian mentioned earlier about questions being put down in the chat log. Jillian, I'll turn it over to you for questions.
Hello, everyone. Ben is just an incredible resource. And as someone who has entered the industry young, who has worked up the ladder, who has clearly set goals and has a proven track record of achieving them, I welcome you to type your questions into the question panel here if there's anything that you'd like answered. I've been thinking, what personally has held you back from starting your daily goals? And kind of think about what that would be.
Is that a question for me, Jillian? Or are you reaching out to our group here?
I'm reaching out to everyone, but I would love for you to jump in.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're listening to this presentation and you want to share something right now, like, Ben, I'm really struggling with setting my goals, and this is the reason why, and this is what's holding me back. Look, you're not the only one. I promise you that someone else is thinking the same thing that you are, but maybe they're afraid to say it. And that's one thing that I'll tell you right now is you can't be afraid to share your goals with other people. You can't be afraid to share some of the struggles that you're going through. That's the only way that you're going to break through those struggles, is by telling other people, letting them know. I had breakfast with one of my friends who's been in the industry for a long time, and I haven't seen him in 3 or 4 years. I walked in and I was like, holy cow, man, you look great. You have lost a lot of weight. And he said, Ben, I've lost over 50 pounds. And I said, well, how did you do it? And he said, Ben, I had a fear of telling other people like where I was at with my weight. But I realized that until I did, I couldn't hold myself accountable, because everybody can tell themselves whatever you want to hear. But when you share that with the world, Now you know you're being held accountable. And when you do that, you will be amazed at the things that you can overcome, because it's too hard to put it on ourselves. You know, we fall back into some of the procrastination. I'll get to it tomorrow. We fall back into some of the laziness. You know, those are challenges that we all deal with. We are not going to be perfect. We are human. But when we have somebody else that we can talk to about those goals, and we can share some of our struggles, and we trust that person, and we're willing to listen to them, give us constructive feedback, and we're willing to open our hearts and our minds and not be a know-it-all and not think that you can do this all on your own, that's what will allow you to go to the next level. So would certainly love to hear from any of you right now. If you've got that, we can certainly address it here on this call. But any other questions that you may have, let's talk about it. Ask, don't be afraid.
Ben, we've got someone here whose goal is to bring in new talented salespeople and is unsure how to start. How do you market yourself to folks like that?
I had this conversation with one of my leaders in Virginia Beach today. You know, he kept saying, I can't wait for the recruiter to come in. And I said to him, James, when I started in this business, I didn't have a recruiter working for me. Everywhere you go, you need to be recruiting. You need to tell people who you are, what you do. If you're talking to a customer that you're selling, you tell that customer, look, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, we have a great career opportunity. Do you know anybody that would like to change their lives and help people protect people's homes and families and businesses? Because I'm looking for people that want to change their life. So that's step number one, is you've got to tell everybody that you know what that opportunity is. Number two is social engagement. Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, all of those things are free. You don't pay anything to put a message out there. I would suggest that you create some videos. Videos is the best content that you can absolutely do. Keep those videos under 1 minute or less. Instagram has to be under a minute or less. And start posting. Be consistent. That can be a goal every day that you write down. I want to make one video and I want to post it. I want to write some type of article and I want to post it. You want to draw attention to your business. I would suggest, how are your reviews at your company? If you Google Power Home Technologies, you're going to see 5-star review on Google, 4.9 on Facebook. We have over 4,000 online reviews. If you want to recruit potential people, you need to highlight how you take care of your customers. You need to highlight how you take care of your employees. What type of incentives do you have? Look on my LinkedIn page. You're going to see a picture of a $10,000 bonus check with my top sales rep. That was to recognize him, but that was for a recruiting platform as well. I wanted everybody to see, wow, Power Home Technologies is paying a $10,000 bonus. Those are the things that you can do that cost nothing. Now, ZipRecruiter is the way that you can post ads, and there's a cost to that, but I like using things that are free.
We've got another question here. I'm finding it hard to focus on my goals because I get distracted by daily responsibilities. I don't feel unproductive, but it has been difficult to manage my time to get the short-term goals done.
Great question. Look, we all struggle with that. Before I was writing down my goals every day, I would come home and my wife would say, what'd you do today? And you know what? I'd be like, I have no idea. All I know is I did a lot. I was busy. I didn't have anything I could define. I didn't have anything I could reflect on. I just know that I took care of a ton of emails. I talked to a ton of people, but I didn't have anything that I could say, Meredith, I accomplished this, I accomplished that. So what I would tell you is go back to writing down goals every day, and then at night, look, this only takes 20 minutes a day. Okay, when people say I don't have time, that's a bunch of crap. Everybody has time. You've got 10 minutes to write your goals every day, and you've got 10 minutes to reflect on what you accomplished that day. And if you learn like me, I have to write things down. I can't just listen. I have to take notes. You know, this presentation was 45 minutes. Look, I probably put 3 hours into this presentation of studying it and practicing it and thinking about the things that maybe you would ask and how to deliver that message so you would hear it and understand it. So my answer to that question is go back to everything I just went over, 3 goals, 5 goals every day, reflect. And then one other thing is don't put attention to things that don't make you money. If someone is draining your resources and they are not productive, if they're not a producer, look, I don't talk to every one of my sales reps. I only talk to the reps that produce, because if I call on the guys that are not producing, then I'm rewarding someone that should not be rewarded. And more importantly, I'm taking away that time that I could be spending on a productive rep, somebody that's doing the things that I've asked them to do. So I would tell you, stop wasting time on things that are not making you money or advancing your business.
I think those are all the questions that we have here. I just want to thank Ben. I want to thank Mr. Few and all of the folks who joined us on today's webinar. Again, it is being recorded and will be available at esaweb.org. I hope you all have a great day. Thank you.
Have a great day. Boom, baby.